Yeah.
I know he told me, he said if I agreed to talk to him, I said yeah, and then that's all. So if I misunderstood him, that
Says the report said you and another inmate, it said, quote,
yeah.
threw body on another inmate. Is that what happened in this incident? What happened here?
So I, somebody paid me back coffee to walk in front of him and open the cupboard. So I did, and obviously the guy behind me assaulted some fellow inmates.
So you said you weren't involved in that, or you did
Well, I
not
mean,
participate in that, or
I guess I was involved because I was there. Obviously, and I was involved, but
you didn't
I
throw
was
anything
just
on
told.
anybody,
I
or
didn't throw anything. I was just told to walk in front of the guy and open the cupboard.
so your statement is you kind of not knowingly participated, but you were there in front of the cuff port, kind of hiding what was happening.
Right. I just walked in front of the guy, slid the cupboard open, and that was all I had. They told me to do.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of a Utah man who is in protective custody yet trying to get parole. His initial crime was horrific. We'll give you some of that information at the end, along with the results of this hearing. With that, let's jump in.
So I'll be conducting today. I'm going to be taking testimony from you. If you raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you provide today will be truthful and accurate?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Um, did you receive at least 7 days written notice of today's hearing along with your disclosure packet?
Yes.
So I got your letter. I think you wrote a letter a week or two ago
Yeah.
about the psychological evaluation. So let me just give you my understanding and then you can tell me if I'm understanding correctly, okay?
Okay.
In the psych review, the forensic warning section, it says that you gave the doctor your verbal consent for release of information, and the doctor wrote, quote, verbal agree in the signature line. So you didn't actually sign it with your hand.
Because I don't remember saying agreeing to that. I remember agreeing to the interview.
So you agreed to interview.
Yes.
Okay. And because Dr. Peck, that's what it says is, and that I think that's appropriate, right? If he asked you, you said that was okay. And I think in your letter, you said, you didn't sign it. You don't agree with some of the information that's in there. I mean, it's in the file and
Well,
the board is going to consider that.
yeah.
What I'm planning on doing today is discussing it with you,
Mhm.
getting your insight and thoughts into it, and then putting that in my report for the board.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you, or do you have any other thoughts or input that you have with that?
No, I just wouldn't like that to be there because I didn't give consent to. From my understanding, is because I had my hands were free. Could have handed me a paper and had me sign it.
Yeah.
I know he told me. He said if I agreed to talk to him, I said yeah, and then that's all. So if I misunderstood him, that
How I understand it is that you gave verbal consent to release information, but I mean, you participated in the evaluation.
all right.
The board uh, asked for it, right?
Right.
So I guess this is how I'm going to proceed. We have it in the file.
Okay.
The board asked for it. I'll note your comments, and I've already put your letter right before my report, so the board's aware of it and your concerns with it, and then the board will proceed as they see fit. And we'll also talk about that information, and I'm interested in what you disagree with, why you think the information is wrong, and I'll also put that into it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, the only thing that was concerning me is because I asked him in the interview specifically, is like, is this going to be used against me or not in the board? And he said it wasn't going to be used against me at all. So, and
What do you mean used against you? Because really, the board is going to review this as part of the whole in your case, right? So they'll consider it. I don't know, as far as using it against you, you mean like
I'm just saying
if
because
you think some of it's maybe negative towards you?
yeah, the way the wording is, I feel like it's used negative against me the way it was worded in
Okay.
on his part. He talked to me differently in the interview, more like he was trying to help me, not be a little negative when I went through it. Like if I say something and then if I mean I'm gonna be straight up with them, so I don't see why he would he take what I said and you know
Okay.
misconstrued it. You know what I'm saying?
So and I'm interested in that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give a review of what's happened prior to today's hearing. I have some questions for you. I'll kind of go through what's in that report as well and get your insight, anything you disagree with, and we'll talk about that. And then at the end of the hearing, I'll let you have the final word and you can say anything else you'd like to as well. Does that sound okay to you?
That's
Okay. Looks like you returned from your second parole in July of 21. You had a parole violation in original hearing in March 23. After that hearing, the board revoked your parole and scheduled today's hearing. With that they requested a psychological review. The board said they expect you to work out of restricted housing, complete all available recommended cognitive behavioral therapy, and remain free of disciplinary violations. I think your housing situation has kind of changed, and we'll talk about that in a second as well, but those were their expectations.
Right.
So I'm going to, since your last hearing, I think you participated in the SAMHSA, the anger management class, for a couple weeks. The board said they expect you to do CBT. I think the institutional progress report says you're in maximum security. Is there a safety situation going on where programming is not available? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I can do programming on the tablet, but I can't go into population.
Okay, so it says you've got, quote, mental health groups, therapy, as well as in-cell packets, and then you can do tablet
Right.
stuff.
And the CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, isn't that from my understanding was that's what I did back in 2029 or 2019, I mean.
Let's see, I think
Uh,
you may have. Obviously, the board, that was just 23. They said they expect you to do it before now. But, they will consider, let's see.
Because I haven't forgot any of my coping skills or, you know.
I don't show that there's any, let's see. In the past, you did SOTP, you completed that
Yeah.
early. There's probably some cognitive
From-
behavioral aspects of that. Is
my
that what you're talking
understanding,
about?
That was CBT. CBT. It was when I asked them, they said it was basically it's the same thing as a drug program because we don't just do sexual therapy. It's basically it's about choices and
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, you've got in-cell packets, tablet stuff, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, MRT is not available right now. Is that okay? Are you doing tablets or packets or mental health therapy? Are you doing any treatment or programming?
yeah, I am. Right now. I just barely got a tablet because I didn't have a tablet where I was. I just barely moved 2 days ago.
Okay.
So I finally got a tablet again.
What are you doing on the tablet?
Um, the anger management, obviously. I'm doing some of the life skill classes on there. I signed up for one of I think it's like an electoral for electricity. Kinda learn-
Vocational type?
Yeah, I'm just doing that.
Yeah.
That and just watching some TED Talks. That's about it.
Okay.
Nothing too major.
You mentioned you did SOTP. I think that had some CBT, different aspects of it. On your two paroles, from my reviews of it, you fell back and I think struggled with alcohol use, and then 2 incidents, and on
Right.
both paroles it brought you back. When you're released in the future, what do you think you need to do differently so you can apply the things you learned in treatment and not fall back into those negative behaviors?
Well, I know that like yeah, I did drink every recreationally or whatever. I made some bad decisions. Obviously, I drove to go get a pack of cigarettes, which I shouldn't have. I should have just bought the stuff and bought everything that I needed before I started drinking. Um, so I understand that that was a major issue is not following with my thought process because I obviously I made the wrong decision.
Okay.
I didn't sit there and think it through.
So I guess just thinking it through, taking time to kind of focus on those coping skills moving forward.
And the other incident, I wasn't planning on driving. I was actually just sitting in my room. The police came over and they checked up on me. They was wondering. They said that somebody called and said I was trying to drive, but I told them I didn't have no keys. I was like, I don't even have a car. They said okay, and they left. But I guess my parole officer wanted they wanted to arrest me, so I didn't want to. I didn't want to comply because I didn't want to come back to prison. And
Okay.
after that,
Okay.
had some issues but I've I've expedited all those charges. So
Okay. I think since your last hearing, so you've had 2 disciplinaries, and then I think 2 are pending. One was June 5th, 23, AO2. I think it says, the report said you and another inmate, it said, quote,
Yeah.
threw body fluids on another inmate. Is that what happened in this incident? What happened here?
Somebody paid me back coffee to walk in front of him and open the cupboard. So I did, and obviously the guy behind me assaulted some fellow inmates.
So you said you weren't involved in that? Or you did
Well, I
not
mean,
participate in that, or?
I guess I was involved because I was there, obviously, and I was involved, but
You didn't
I
throw
was just
anything on
told-
anybody?
I
Or
didn't throw anything. I was just told to walk in front of a guy and open the cupboard.
so your statement is you kind of not knowingly participated, but you were there in front of the cuff port, kind of hiding what was happening?
Right. I just walked in front of the guy, slid the cupboard open, and that was all they told me to do.
Okay.
And yeah, I pleaded guilty to it and got a fine, did some PI time also.
Okay, then May 11, 23, 813 homemade alcohol. Were you using homemade alcohol?
Yes. Like I said last time is so I haven't been doing that. I quit doing that. It's
When's
been
the
a
last
year.
time you used alcohol?
Oh, I haven't used it. I was last time I was at the board, I told them that
You had the
So-
write-up for
I-
May 11th.
I
Is
understand
that the last time or no? Or
yes. So what I explained to him last time was because I need to make money somehow. You know, you go to work every day, so I gotta make money. I gotta eat. I gotta dress myself. So what I always do is making alcohol and selling it.
and you've stopped doing that now?
Yeah, I haven't done it for a whole year. Well, I think that's a year, right? June? Was it June or
So
May?
it's been over a year since that one. That was May 11th, 2023.
Yeah, that's the last time
Okay.
I was doing that.
And then pending disciplinary, so you don't have to talk about these, there haven't been convictions, but I think the board will be interested in your comments if you're willing. October 27, 2023, BO7, stand-up count, didn't stand up for stand-up count. It looks like some sort of confrontation or something with officers. What happened here? It says, quote, you and others, quote, were not willing to stand or give your names during stand-up count.
I wasn't even aware I have that right up.
Then May 25th, 2024, these could be dismissed. They're shown as pending. I'll check on them. And if
Yeah.
they've been dismissed, I'll note that.
What was that right up?
That was from October 23. So I would imagine it probably is dismissed, but it's still showing up as pending. So I'll
Okay,
check on
I
it.
never received that, so I don't.
Then May 25th, 2024, I guess this one says, I guess it says, quote, told staff you're feeling suicidal, received a disciplinary for that. I don't know what happened here.
So I was feeling paranoid. I was out of my head. I was having anxiety and paranoia. So I told them that I wasn't feeling safe, and then I told them I was feeling suicidal. And they wanted to put me back in the section. I told them if they put me back in the section that I would eat some razors because I thought at the time that people were trying to get me. And then when I ended up going to suicide watch, you know, after taking my meds, and I realized, and I was just in my head, so I was willing to go back to the section, and they moved me back with my cellie. Everything was fine, you know.
You took the meds, you were there for a bit, then you stabilized, came back, and now you were good after that. Okay.
So I also wrote a letter to the officer. And I explained what was going on with the mental health issue, and he told me he said that he appreciated it and that he's gonna let IDHO know. He told me to tell him to go talk to him, so he can also talk to him and let him know
Okay.
what the situation was.
I'll note that as well, and I'll look in to see what's happened since then. So I have here a summary of Dr. Peck's psychological review. It gives present suggested diagnoses of antisocial personality disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, persistent depression disorder, alcohol use disorder, stimulant use disorder. It says you're currently taking. Are you still taking those?
Yes.
They help. It seems like on this last one they did.
Yeah.
How long have you been taking those?
I just started the McDonald's probably like, I don't know, maybe like 6 months, something like that. It's been a minute now.
His report says, so it had been 2 months in April, so 4 or 5 months, I think, is according to what he says. Is that accurate? Maybe 6?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Okay. It gives various risk factors regarding your criminal history, multiple assaults in the past on inmates and officers. Your sex offense, you did SOTP for that, commitment in case. Says, quote, assaults tend to result from oppositional or vindictive lines of reasoning. Talks about denial, minimalization, past 2 paroles, past community supervisions that you've struggled on, that you're in, maximum security placement we talked about. Talks about Adderall, substance use difficulties, quote, seeks out Adderall. It notes that, I'll note a comment on that we've talked about.
Because I haven't felt any UAs or nothing. Like I've been on all the UAs they've even done in while being incarcerated. I've never felt any UAs.
Okay, so I guess, what are your thoughts on the evaluation? If you have disagreements with that, if there's things you agree with, what are your thoughts?
I would say yeah, I'm vindictive sometimes. I am antisocial. Minimalization and denial, I would say I'm not, because I admit when I'm doing something wrong, you know.
Okay.
Minimize it. I have no reason to minimize anything, you know.
Do you agree with, I mean, so he recommends you participating in criminal thinking errors classes, and substance use treatment? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I feel like I don't need substance abuse, not because I'm in denial. I have that under control. As far as I'm aware, alcohol is not illegal.
Okay. So I've read your letters at the past hearings. You've said you want a termination or expiration. You'll refuse parole. That's what
Yes.
Dr. Peck also reports. So you're not willing to do parole?
No, honestly, I just want to pay for my crimes, and I don't want to be here anymore. I've seen too much bad things happen, and
What's the problem with parole? So I guess you said alcohol is not illegal, but if you're on parole, you can't use alcohol, right? That's a condition of parole.
right.
Seems to me like the resources of parole would be helpful, right? Of classes, having support, things that you need in transitioning. What are your thoughts? Why are you not willing to parole?
So I have family support. I have a job if I get out. At my friend's ranch. I know you just wrote a letter of support. So I have family and friend support. I just want to honestly, I just want to pay for my crimes and be done with it.
Okay. So yes, you said either with family in Hinckley or Ogden, work with at the farm, I
Right.
guess with your friend.
Yeah, you got a ranch
You
out there.
don't necessarily think you need treatment, relying on that support. So I guess you're willing to serve, expirate the end of your sentence, but you'd prefer termination, I guess. Am I understanding that correctly?
I would really prefer termination. I've missed out a lot. My sister's had 2 kids since I've been in here. You know, my dad just wants to see me. My mom wants me home or out of here. She just wants me to stay out of trouble.
Okay.
I really don't. I'm not going to commit any crimes, and I just want to just be left alone. Honestly,
Okay.
I'm not trying to bother nobody. I just want to just go to work, do my thing, and just fly under the radar and do what I have to do.
Okay. Well, as things stand right now, your guideline was 28 months. That passed in November of 2023. Obviously, your expiration is 15 years, April 24, 2029. That's the framework within the board. Will be, considering your case. And what I'll do from here is take your case under advisement. I've put together a report of everything I've reviewed, your letters, written submissions, past hearing reviews, etc. I'll include what we've talked about today in that report, and then I'll submit it to the board hopefully by tomorrow.
Okay.
Usually it takes them a couple weeks to make a decision, usually between 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
Once a decision is made, we'll send it to you in writing through the mail, and it will also be posted on the board's website.
Okay.
So with that, thanks for being here and participating in today's hearing. I wish you the best of luck. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude?
No, that's it.
Okay, we'll conclude with that.
Okay, so they denied his parole, and they said that he can have a rehearing in 2026 if he agrees to abide by the decisions of parole. Now, I'll quote you the exact words that the parole board used. Thank you, Richard, for pulling this information up. It says, Mr. Morataya reports that he is not willing to abide by the conditions of parole. The Board of Pardons may consider an earlier rehearing if he agrees to abide by the conditions of parole. Now, this picture that you're looking at is, of course, before the wonderful art that he decided to put onto his face. And this took place from his first felony conviction, which took in 2013, which was for the forcible sexual abuse 2. We're looking at the legislation now, and the maximum sentence you can get in Utah for that is 15 years. He got 15 years, which is what he's serving out now. And he only served 1 year before he was paroled. And as you can see, that worked out great for him. This is how it's defined. It's basically if you do any of these acts, which they have listed here, I'm not going to read them to you. And also the victim is 14 years or older. Now, what we've seen in these legislation, by the way, is that when they say something like 14 years or older, that means under the age of 18, but older than 14. And usually it's older than 3 years. Now, we could figure out exactly how old he was and how old she probably was by just looking at some information. Let me pause this and I'll tell you in a second. Okay, I'm back. So he would have been 19, and that means she probably would have been about 14. 14 years old, maybe 15. So it's he got it in a year, but then of course he has that felony he picked up while in prison for doing, really smart things. Opening the ports so someone else, prisoner, can throw. It's just disgusting. And then, he admits to being antisocial. They have those reports. Hey, good for him, at least, for taking that credit. It's what's scary, I think, about all of this is that, no matter what, he's getting out in his full term date, which is what he said. He came in there and said, I just don't want to do parole. I just want to get out on my full term date, which is 2029. And even with this information, the Utah Parole Board takes the recommendation from the interviewer. They don't have the time to watch an interview. They just take the recommendation. And they say, yeah, if you say you're willing to abide by parole, you can ask for an earlier parole date. And that means too is that all he has to do is say, okay, I'm willing to abide. I'm willing not to drink on parole. I'm willing to abide by the parole, and they'll give him an earlier hearing and they'll parole him. And that just makes a ton of sense, obviously. He has, in addition on his record, he has possession of a firearm by a felon. He has a couple of other small things, but really it just seems like this initial main crime is what it is that got him locked up, and then the crime in prison. And also what was telling us at the beginning, how he's kind of arguing about that pre-sentencing evaluation that he got. We've never seen that before. We have seen people say that the pre-sentence evaluation was wrong, but we've never had anyone say, take the approach he was taking, which I guess was just a little bit telling. Anyways, if you're new here, welcome. We cover parole hearings in Iowa, in Illinois, in Utah. On Channel 1, there's a link to description that over 2,000 Louisiana parole hearings. Love to have you come back. And we keep following up on each inmate. So if he has another hearing, we'll play it here. So hit the subscribe button and notification bell if it's something that you want to see on the follow-up. And with that, I'll let you go.